Weird time in boxing, Bob.
Yeah.
So, the Ryan Garcia steroid saga, or PED saga, it continues. Now it's been confirmed that he didn't test positive for nandrolone 19, that it was for Ostarine on 2 separate occasions. He's going around saying that this clears him of any wrongdoing.
Okay.
What's your thoughts?
How deep the rabbit hole go? So, here's my take on it. Regardless of him being cleared of one, doesn't make him innocent of both. But he did test positive for the Ostarine, which is, that's already on record. According to Victor Conti, he was saying that it was 6 times the limit from the day of the fight and the day after.
Yeah, so the limit, I think, is supposed to be 0.1.
0.1.
And he tested what?
It was
6.
high enough to be 6 times the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's still, at the end of the day, he's regardless of him being clear of one, he still has to explain how the Ostarine got in the system.
All right, some people are making the argument that it could be a tainted supplement, that there's been a record of supplements containing Ostarine, even though it's not on the table of contents.
Yeah.
And what do you say if somebody were to take that stance?
Well, I mean, I would. It's possible. Okay, so for example, right? I don't know how long ago it was, but there was a product that was sold in GNC. It was very popular. It was called Oxy Elite Pro. Oxy Elite Pro has a banned substance in it. It's not FDA approved, but they sold it on the shelves. There was a lot of people having a lot of strokes, liver failures, kidney failures, and things like that. So people were dying. Lawsuit tended to pop up. That's what they were taking, led into GNC, and I think the payout was like $2 million. Even after the $2 million payout, they still had that same product on the shelf for, I don't know, I think it was like 4 months maybe, but it's still it was popular. It was meant to reduce, to lose weight. It was meant to keep the mass. It was water retention. It did a lot. I think the ingredient that was on it, it was dimethylamine. It's DMAA. So that was a banned substance, and that came from a whole line of other supplements that are on the shelves to this day that possibly could have banned substances in it. You know what I mean? But again, this goes back to the first interview you and I had, where it talks about fighters, coaches, they're just not educated on what they're taking. A lot of the times you really can't blame the strength coach, you can't blame the coach. Because how many stubborn fighters, I mean, you're here in the city, you interview fighters all the time. How many fighters have you come across that are stubborn? You tell them not to eat something, they do it anyway. You tell them not to have sex, they do it anyway. You know, they're stubborn. So if a coach tells him, stay away from this, or let me know what you're taking, sometimes they hide it because they don't feel it to be a big deal. So I think that, like I said before, this is bigger than Nino Brown. So it's not so much of Ryan being innocent or guilty. This is bigger than that, because there's numerous fighters that tested hot. A lot of fighters tested hot. Like, can you name me 5 off the top of your mind?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Shit. And I love them. Roy Jones. James Toney. Amir Khan.
Yeah.
Gene Pascal.
Chavez Jr.
Chavez
Gamboa.
Jr. Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Gamboa.
Yeah.
Holyfield. I hate to say it, but even Muhammad Ali.
Ali for diuretics, yeah.
Yep. When he fought Larry Holmes. So
Oscar Valdez.
So it's
Dillian
popular.
White.
Now
Tyson
again,
Fury. Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. The list goes on and on. but it goes into the point where these guys got to know what they're taking. Like, for example, I'm gonna use I like using the Michelle Rivera example, because he paid his team a specific amount of money for him to get to the level that he needed for Frank Martin. End up testing hot. He's looking at it like, what the fuck did I do? You know what I mean? So then it pops up. Now, they read you the actual name of the banned substance. It doesn't tell you where you got the busted substance from or anything else. So now the person himself is backtracking. Damn, I took D3, I took fish oil, I took MTC oils. You know what I mean? Like, they go backtrack. They don't know what they taking. But now, I ask you this. And for anybody out there, too, who has a personal trainer, who has a strength coach, who has a coach that they really rely on, or even a friend that helps them out. How many times have you went to that specific person and said, how do I lose this? How do I gain weight? How can I get in this condition, and how can I get to this level? What do they tell you? They say, oh, well, you got to do X, Y, Z. Try taking this, try taking this, try taking that. And what you do, you go to the store and you fucking buy it.
Facts.
Right? So imagine being in a camp where a guy who is paid to condition you and everything else now say, all right, listen, take this, take this, take this. And you're taking it. But you're not knowing what you're taking. Sometimes the strength coach don't even know what the fuck he's giving you, for real, for real. You know what I mean? We had a situation like that with Shane Mosley and his strength coach when he got caught up with the cream, the clear, and everything else. You know what I mean? So that's where Shane met Victor Conti for the first time, and it was around the time that he was going to fight De La Hoya for the second time. And he came up hot. That whole lawsuit was major. It had to do with the whole Belco scandal and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So, in reality, fighters really don't know what they're taking. And it goes real deep because now I'm gonna go on the record to say that when it comes to a physical sport where it's combat, like boxing, like MMA, it should be a lifetime ban if you get caught with any steroids that can help you perform, I guess, because diuretics, I kind of go back with what I'm going to say, because just because you tested hot through Vada doesn't necessarily mean it's a PED, because coke is a violation of the PED, of Vada. So is weed, so is a cortisone shot. So it's more like, I'm against it if you're using it for combat sports. Now, if a person wants to take steroids and they just finished having, say, like, they got sick and they lost all of this muscle, and they got cancer or anything like that, and a person wants to take steroids to get their weight back up, I'm totally for that. You understand what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that, because it's very hard. Anybody in these comments and any other fans could sit there and tell you, oh, I would have did this or I would have did that. Until you take a sport, blood, sweat, and tears from 4 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, for the remainder part of your life, for a doctor to come up to you and say, you're not allowed to box no more. Because you have cancer, you have kidney issues, you have low testosterone, so on and so forth. You're not going to get desperate to say, well, what the fuck do I do? This is all I know. Most fighters don't have like football, like baseball, like any other sport. They don't have a college background. They just jump right into the shit. We come from the street. You understand what I'm saying? So for that, I'm against it when it comes to combat sports, but not against it when it's revolving something else. You know what I mean?
For clarity purposes, I got prescribed steroids. I had a medical issue.
Okay.
A bad allergic reaction.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, they are awesome. Kids, that's not for you kids.
But here's what I'm saying. Like, for reasons like that, bro, there are things that get made to better the person. You understand what I'm saying? But as far as boxing is concerned, it shouldn't be allowed in boxing. And let's keep it a bean. We talk about the snack thing, the Victor Conti thing. Victor Conti is a very smart man. He knows his shit. Science Like, he knows the anatomy in and out. Before you even step into his products, he sends you out to go get a blood test. That blood test comes back. He reads you. He said, you're missing this. This is what I'm gonna get you. Da 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 da. All right, that's cool. Now, we can't forget that he does have a history of specific stuff. Now, that being in the past, that doesn't mean that just because he done it in the past that he's now doing it in the future. With that being said, there also has been like 4 or 5 guys, Andre Berto,
Willie Monroe,
Michelle Rivera.
No, Boo Boo never tested high.
Are you sure? No. You think? I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway,
I know it was Willie Monroe, Michelle Rivera,
yeah,
Berto,
yeah.
It's a couple guys. Yeah, it's a couple of
and they were snack programs.
Yeah.
Now, they could have been tested high before getting in the snack, but also it could have not been. Now, there's an interesting documentary called what was it? What was the documentary I told you earlier?
Icarus.
Yes, I didn't want to mispronounce that. So that's an interesting documentary for anybody that wants to know the ins and outs of the whole steroid thing. It was this scandal that happened in Russia, and it was involving the Olympics. Now, if you really think about it, right, in the professional worlds, they test for steroids. Vada comes out, Wada, USDA, guys like that. They don't really test amateurs until you get to the highest level, which is Olympics, right? So that's the most part where we don't know what's really going on. But that whole documentary basically breaks down how a scientist in Russia, he had a lab, and he guided and created a program for a person to take steroids to get on a cycling tournament and then go on from there. And it was actually working. But the way that he was doing was microdosing. We already know about microdosing from an interview that Marty had dropped with Victor Conti. And he explained microdosing. So that gets really deep into that. You understand what I'm saying? So again, it goes back to, all of this goes back to who's getting tested the proper way. You know what I mean? There's plenty of employees who left WADA, who left Vada, and they didn't agree with the way things were tested. I'm not gonna say anything because, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't. But there's been situations like that. And who is there to say that these samples that you give your blood to, right? You get blood taken out, all right? They hold a sample, then they take these bloods and they use it as trials. And it's like your blood becomes the guinea pig of a new creation of an undetected steroid. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how deep this shit go. So really, we're not dealing with some shit that's just with boxing. We're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar industry that's involving countries. For Russia to get caught up with this scandal, and the Olympics, it's like everyone was on it. It's almost to say like these countries go at it back and forth to say, well, I got the best trained humans. No, I got the best trained humans. I got the best trained humans. And then they go back and forth with this type of shit just so they can be at that elite level. But that's the way this shit go. You understand what I'm saying? So it's this shit, like I said before, it's deeper than Nino Brown, and I try to keep it Canadian, but it don't work like that.